Would you be more likely to sail through your 40s and 50s well-prepared and well-resourced to feel great and live and give more if you had a set of elite-level consultants giving you advice and encouragement and acting as a sounding board to help you advance toward your best self? You're listening to the Health Courage Collective podcast, episode 235. Let this secret group help you live at an elite level. Welcome to the Health Courage Collective podcast, the show for women who are too busy to slog through hours of generalized, inapplicable, and often contradictory health information, but too smart to ignore that a few minutes of focused attention now can prevent years of suffering in the future. I'm your host, Christina Hackett, a pharmacist who doesn't want you to live on prescriptions, a certified coach specifically trained to maximize your potential, and a compulsive learner obsessed with preventative, cutting-edge, holistic, and integrative medicine. I'm on a mission to increase your physical and mental resilience so you can fearlessly look forward to your next 40-plus limitless years. Your time is now. Let's go. Hello, my friend, and welcome to another episode. Thank you so much for your valuable attention today. I appreciate you so much. How is getting what you want going? Have you gotten clear on the specifics of your objective and the best strategy to get you there? Knowing your overall reason for wanting to replace your hormones and what a world-class hormone regime looks like ahead of time helps you sort through providers you might consider seeing, and it makes it way more likely that you'll have the experience and get the results that you're looking for. It's a lot better than just timidly asking a question and hoping for the best. Not all hormone replacement treatment is created equal, and you have the ability to get top-tier care. It just takes a little extra upfront knowledge and an ability to spot BS. Okay, if you're listening to this the day it comes out, today is New Year's Eve. What better to talk about at New Year's Eve time than setting up a secret group who can help you live at a high level in 2026? My 14-year-old has a friend who lives 2 houses down who always wears him out when they get together, which is awesome. They do workouts together, or they're always just very active, which is great. But sometimes he ends up practically incapacitated the next day from soreness, and we've had to talk about strategies to make sure he's not overdoing it with his friends so that he doesn't end up unable to perform if he has a rock climbing competition or whatever. It's a funny problem to have. Ironically, the best advice I've heard on this topic came from that same cute friend when he came over yesterday to try to get my son to ride his bike with him up the mountain behind our houses, and my son told him, okay, but that he could barely walk today from jumping on the trampoline at his house for 6 hours the day before. And the friend said, well, you better check yourself before you wreck yourself. I thought that went pretty perfectly with what we're going to talk about today. So check yourself before you wreck yourself. We're here to find strategies to be able to age at an elite level and live more as we get older by rejecting the accepted normal experience of the long, slow rot. To be physiologically capable of giving more as we get older because we've proactively identified and prevented or delayed the health challenges that are most likely to trip us up as we accumulate more birthdays. I think it's so awesome. But when you're trying to create something awesome, you need more wisdom than just your own. You need to check yourself. You need alternate viewpoints and perspectives, advice from people who have done big things and fallen down along the way. People who can see things that you're blind to. In the book Clear Thinking by Shane Parrish, and also in my Heroic Coach certification program, I was taught how having a board of directors can help you develop better discernment. What could be more important than making good choices and staying on the path to greatness, however you define that for yourself? A group of trusted advisors can help anyone achieve far more than they'd be able to conceive of on their own, and keep them from going off the rails or being blindsided by an issue they never saw coming. The President of the United States meets frequently with his cabinet to hear their reports and suggestions in order to be able to run the country. The cabinet, if you're wondering, consists of 16 people, the vice president and the heads of 15 other executive branch departments. The president appoints the cabinet member, and the Senate has to confirm the appointment. Legally incorporated for-profit businesses must have boards of directors to work with the CEO to promote the company's best interests. The board sets goals, defines company objectives, provides guidance, assesses the company's performance, hires or fires the CEO, establishes company policies, oversees the budget, and models company culture. The board has a responsibility to protect the company and make sure the company's assets are protected and in good working order. In order for a board of directors to function optimally, the company's main objective needs to be abundantly clear. Then all decisions can be directed toward that end. There's a local children's hospital where I live whose little saying or slogan or whatever has always stuck with me for some reason. I just think it's so good. I have no idea whether the board of directors makes any decisions based on it, but I think it helps workers on the floor know what to do when they have to make a call. Their slogan is, "The child first and always." Makes it pretty clear what the first priority is and when, and I love that about it. I wish I had that clear of a target at all times in my life. It's getting a little clearer the older I get, but it's so easy to lose sight of sometimes, especially when other people attempt to define what should be important to me, as they often do. I know it's not the dollar first and always, or even myself first and always. I know I don't want it to be appearance first and always, or comfort first and always. What about you? Do you have a clear objective that helps your life make sense? A board of directors can help keep you on target and advancing toward that objective. It's powerful. I'm listening to Brené Brown's book, Rising Strong, for the third time right now, and it's so good. In it, she mentions how the book Creativity Incorporated by Ed Catmull, co-founder of Pixar, changed her life. So I started listening to that one and was pleasantly surprised to learn that Ed grew up in the same town as me, similar life circumstances, went to the same university as I did. Very cool. And my little 14-year-old loves listening to the book with me because he loves computer animation. I learned that one of Pixar's key mechanisms is what they call the brain trust. The brain trust is a group of a few key people who meet to advance the objectives of each film they make. The group that serves as the brain trust developed over time and changes a little bit from project to project and from time to time. The premise of the brain trust is simple. Put smart, passionate people in a room together, charge them with identifying and solving problems, and encourage them to be candid with one another. The brain trust sets the tone for everything Pixar does. Ed says Pixar relies on the brain trust to push them toward excellence and to root out mediocrity. Let me say that again. The brain trust exists to push them toward excellence and root out mediocrity. How incredible would it be to have a systematic way to root out mediocrity from your life? I'd love it. I think of it like pulling weeds. He also talks about how directors always become so enmeshed in their projects that they kind of become the project. It's normal and part of what makes their creative results so exceptional. But when they're deep in it, they always become blind to the problems. They're almost lost without knowing that they're lost or that there are things that they can't see. That's when Pixar offers them the counsel of the brain trust, and it's always an offering, not a mandate. The director can do whatever they want with the counsel. The brain trust has no authority. They're just there to bring potential problems at a root cause level to the surface. They don't come up with solutions. There's a really good example in the book about when they were working on The Incredibles, and there was a scene where Mr. Incredible comes home from sneaking around doing super work, and his wife gets mad, and they are like yelling at each other, and everybody in the brain trust was like, you've got to change the dialogue in this scene because I hate him. I hate, like the dad of the family. He's awful. So the director went back to the drawing board to change the dialogue, and he went over it again and again. And he was like, no, I know these characters. This is what they would say to each other. This is how it would go. And then he realized that what felt so bad about it was that the husband was humongous and the wife was tiny. So it felt like he was like abusing her because he was just hulking over her. He was so big. So what he did instead was made it so that when the wife argues back, she elasticizes, expands up huge, so she's as big as he is when they have their argument, and didn't change any dialogue at all. So he did his own thing. He didn't have to do what the brain trust said, which was change the dialogue. Then when they watched it a few months later, they were like, oh my gosh, this is so great. What dialogue did you change? This is fabulous. And he said, I didn't change a thing. So that was just an example of the way the director gets to make the call, where the brain trust identifies the problem he didn't even realize was there, but he got to be the one to solve it, and he solved it in his own way. Pixar has found that when the director has a root cause problem made visible to them, their own solution is always better than what anyone else would have come up with and told them to do. I love the whole idea of the brain trust and unmasking problems that we were blind to in an effort to root out mediocrity. Edward de Bono has another useful tool that I think goes along with our discussion today. I read about it in Jim Quick's book, Limitless, and I'll put a link to a blog post of his. Jim says that our life is a function of how well we solve problems, but very few of us have a process for solving problems. Do you think of your life as a function of how well you solve problems? Do you have a process for solving problems? The brain trust is all about looking for problems in order to approach excellence, which is pretty cool. Edward de Bono's system to use to solve problems is to look at the problem from several different perspectives. A board of directors or brain trust helps with this, but so does de Bono's process. He says that we need 6 thinking hats. I think it's funny because he always calls them hats, never caps. They're not thinking caps, they're thinking hats. You can only wear one hat at a time. You have a white hat that's the thinking hat of logic. When you wear the white hat, you ask yourself, what is the information available? What are the facts? How can I look at this objectively? Imagine a scientist with a lab coat hat to remember the white hat. The red hat is the thinking hat of emotion. When you put on the red hat, you ask yourself, how do I feel? What emotions are coming up? What is my intuition telling me? Imagine an emotional fire to match your red hat. The black hat is the critic. When you wear the black hat, you ask yourself, what could go wrong? Why won't this work? What do I need to be cautious of? Imagine a judge with black robes to remember the black hat is the critic. The yellow hat is the hat of optimism. When you put on the yellow hat, ask yourself, what could go right? What are the benefits here? What's the upside? Think of sunshine on the yellow hat. The green hat is the hat of creativity. When you have your green thinking hat on, ask yourself, how can I be creative here? What are the possibilities? Is there a different alternative that I'm not even considering yet? You can remember that green is creativity by imagining grass growing. Lastly, the blue hat is the manager hat. When you put on the blue hat, think about the big picture, all of the different perspectives, and make your final decision. To remember blue is the manager, think of the big picture, including the big blue sky. There's an Einstein quote that says, the same level of thinking that created your problem won't solve your problem. So how do you change your level of thinking? There are a few ways to advance our lives forward and create more of what we want for ourselves, but they typically all involve solving problems and utilizing varying perspectives. Jim Quick mentioned that the producer Quincy Jones, who produced Michael Jackson's Thriller album, along with the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air show, which I love, and the Color Purple movie, once told him, oh, I don't have problems. I have puzzles. That's a great way to think about things. I've been trying to flip that switch more in my mind lately, even just thinking, could this be a puzzle rather than a problem is so helpful. I've been having some yogurt problems and some strawberry problems. I make my own / grow my own, and it definitely helps to think of them as puzzles rather than problems. A Lactobacillus reuteri culturing puzzle and an indoor garden wild strawberry growing puzzle. It feels so much better because a puzzle isn't a burden or a punishment. People don't send you sympathy cards because you're working on a puzzle. Puzzles are fun and they always have a solution. And sometimes taking a break from your Rubik's Cube and helping someone else solve their crossword puzzle gives you the energy and focus to try again. And other times having a group of people who can help you attack your puzzle from different perspectives is exactly what you need to move forward. Your board of directors, or I kind of like calling them a brain trust, so you can call them your brain trust, can help you solve your puzzles. They can elevate your thinking in a big way. You can tap into their wisdom every single morning during your daily meditation to get general advice. Let them tell you what matters most to them, and what their experience has taught them will make your life better. You can also ask them to help you solve specific puzzles or even specific pieces of a larger puzzle. What would they remind you of? What wisdom do they often repeat? You can also use them to help you make better decisions. Some of them will be more skilled in that area than others. Who would that be? And what would she do in that situation? Okay, are you sold on creating your own board of directors and letting them help you? As you might have guessed, these will not be people with their own lives that you have to coordinate calendars with and send an endless stream of back and forth texts to find a time that works for all of you. Although, if you have some awesome people who you can meet with in real life, by all means do so. If you can get them on a Zoom meeting every morning to discuss how to make your life better, that's pretty awesome. If not, no worries. They can still be on your board of directors. They don't even have to be alive. Lots of the people on mine are not. You can pick anyone you can think of to be on your board of directors. Who do you admire? Who would you love to emulate? Who is the wisest person you can think of? Who typically wears a white hat, a black one, a red, yellow, or green one? Purposefully pick vastly different people. I'd encourage you to let them come to you. Over the next few days or weeks, jot down names of people who inspire you, who have done things that you want to do, who embody something you deeply value. People whose opinions you hold in high regard and would love to have as personal advisors. I have a totally free resource to share with you if it helps. It's useful to me to have everyone on my board listed on one page with a picture of them. Then I can glance at my board of directors and soak in their wisdom pretty quickly on the regular. If that would be helpful to you, come snag a copy of my Canva template and you can write in your peeps and put a little picture of them in there. Then you can glance at them and pull them up every morning or whenever you're working your way through a puzzle or have to make a decision. You can get that totally free Canva template at www.healthcouragecollective.com/board. BOARD, not BORED. Hopefully you're not bored with this. So head to healthcouragecollective.com/board, get your template, and then come up with your list of advisors and drop them each in there so that they can help you advance your life forward. I wish you could tell me who you're inviting to your board of directors. You could email me at healthcouragecollective@gmail.com and tell me if you want to. I'd be interested to know who has the wisdom or expertise that you want to tap into. Who models your highest values? Who do you strive to be worthy of advice from? You might choose Abraham Lincoln, Abraham Maslow, John Wooden, Anne Frank, Helen Keller, Epictetus, Seneca, Yoda. You can do whatever you want, including picking fictional person, a coach or teacher you've had, a relative, church leader, Oprah, David from David and Goliath, David Goggins, Rosa Parks, Martin Luther King, Martin Luther, Marie Curie, Florence Nightingale, Ada Lovelace. Do you know about her? Leonardo da Vinci, the Dalai Lama, Margaret Thatcher, Jane Austen, Mother Teresa, Elizabeth Gilbert, the Wasps. I love them so much. The women air surface pilots from World War II. I guess if you're doing a group like that, you could do Navy SEALs or Army Rangers or Mothers Against Drunk Driving, the suffragettes. Who else inspires you? Bear Grylls? Catherine David's daughter? A leader in your profession or your sport, or someone who has achieved one of your most important goals? This is your brain trust, so you can do whatever you want. You can also have alternates or people that you rely on sometimes or only in certain situations. You can change your board whenever you want. You can cut people. No one will even be offended. They're all there with the sole purpose of advancing your life forward. None of them have an ego or a hidden agenda or any authority over your decisions, so it's beautiful. Pick absolutely anyone you want who you think will help drive your life forward. But I would encourage you to consider including a few particular people. The most important one by far is your ideal self. The future, ideal, aspirational version of you. The one who has done all the things that you want to do and has solved all the puzzles that you face. She's your CEO and you're her assistant. It's your job to do what she tells you to do. You might also want to consider putting your children, spouse, or students, or patients, or clients on there, not as a traditional mentor, but as people you strive to be worthy of. If you're an example or a leader to anyone, thinking of being worthy of their esteem can also help you decide what to do. I debated whether to list out my board of directors because yours is the only one that matters, but sometimes it's helpful to have an example to get your wheels kind of turning. So I think through what each of them tells me as at least a few times a week and turn to them when I'm thinking about a particular puzzle or need to make a decision. My number one spot is my chairman of the board, which for me is Jesus. He tells me to love one another, love your enemies, turn the other cheek, be humble, merciful, and pure in heart, do unto others as you would have them do unto you, and all those other things. My second person is my church leader. His name is Russell M. Nelson. He always tells me that you need to put in the work to learn truth for yourself, to allow God to prevail in your life, that the Lord loves effort, to think celestial, which means with an eternal perspective, to be a peacemaker, to build bridges of understanding, to be grateful. He's also an example of career excellence and lifespan/health span. He's 99. He's going to turn 100 in September. And he recently had to be vigorously encouraged to stop skiing black diamond ski runs when he was sustained church president in 2018. He's pretty cool. Okay, then third is my CEO, which remember, your CEO is your future/best self. She mostly tells me some version of, it's going to be okay. Everything works out the way it was supposed to, and focus on the fundamentals. Little things matter, and people matter the most. Fourth, I have someone I absolutely adore, Eleanor Roosevelt. She always says that do the thing you cannot do. She was like super shy and scared and timid, and she changed the world. So she tells me timid girls can change the world, which I love. She was the conscience for her husband and everyone within her sphere of influence, no matter how uncomfortable it was, and she fought for the underprivileged and refused to allow discrimination. Fifth, I have Phil Stutz. He says to drive your life forward. The worse you feel, the more committed you are to your protocol. Discipline is the box to carry your spiritual practices home from the orchard in. Discipline is a correct relationship to time. Live life in harmony with higher forces. Use tools to act in accordance with your highest values. Like so much more. Sixth is Earl Nielsen, which is my grandpa, who I've never actually met. He died before I was born, but what I've heard about him is that he was very level-headed and very kind. He was a good investor and a successful entrepreneur by understanding what people need, and he was willing to work hard, and he was an exemplary parent. Seventh is Josephine Weatherby, who is my great-grandma, who I also never met because she's way older than me. She was a really hard worker and a really tough lady. She was the epitome of self-reliance and went through a lot of hard stuff without ever being anyone's victim. She kept doing hard things well into her old age, and she loved it. Eighth is Mona Nielsen, which is my mom. She has a cool story too. She made her own way. She got out of bad situations. She did some really scary stuff when she had no idea how. She followed her dreams, she earned her own way, and she made a brand new life for herself here in America, which was pretty cool. Ninth is Richard Nielsen, which is my dad. He liked to learn from all kinds of wisdom. He read a lot, he invested well, and never spent money frivolously. He appreciated beauty and words and the power of story. 10th, I have Dr. Peter Attia. He teaches me to be able to think on a high level and articulate your understanding well. I like his goal to become a centenarian decathlete. Knowing your death bars, which is what's most likely to kill you, is important, and only employing tactics if they serve your strategy, and only run strategies that serve your ultimate objective. 11th is Brian Johnson from Heroic. He teaches me to be anti-fragile, and also the worse I feel, the more committed I am to my protocol. Give credit where credit is due. He's so good at that. Blending ancient wisdom with modern science. Living with arete. Living your values. Being a warrior, not a librarian of ideas. Doubling down on the fundamentals. Knowing the ultimate game we're playing and how to play it well. So many more things. 12th, I have Brene Brown, who tells me to get in the arena and dare greatly. Vulnerability is strength. Have a soft front and a strong back. Argue better. Never dehumanize. Understand the subtle differences in emotions to enhance your experience of life. Be willing to rumble with difficult emotions and write yourself permission slips. 13th, I have Arthur Brooks, who teaches you that emotional management improves your life. The 3 macronutrients of happiness are enjoyment, satisfaction, and purpose. The 4 pillars of creating happiness are faith, family, work, and friends. And that emotions are just information that you can choose to use to make a decision about what you want to do. Disappointment and failure teach you the most and can make you the happiest. And faith makes your life better. 14th, I have my family, my husband and my 3 boys. They teach me to strive to be worthy of them, to be a good example and an unwavering, loving supporter of them, to encourage them to be their best selves, hold them accountable, and to make sure that they always know that they're loved, safe, supported, and special. And my 15th spot is you, my clients and listeners. I strive to be worthy, to be one of the guides in your life, to practice what I preach, and to be a humble servant that you can look to when you want to transform into a powerhouse of strength who lives and gives more as you get older rather than less. I hope someday to be able to inspire you to believe that it's possible to put more life in your future years and to realize that the work it takes to do so is so fun and fulfilling. I could go on and on about all these people, but I'll spare you. I have some alternates. Leonardo da Vinci, he's super cool in a lot of ways. Ellen Langer, who I talk about all the time. Dave Asprey. Elizabeth Zott, who's a fictional character. She's fantastic. And of course, Martin Luther King and Oprah. We can't forget them. After I finished, I realized, I've got 6 bald guys on there. Okay. Now the question is, who will serve on your board of directors? What will they remind you of? How can they help you make better decisions? I think it's helpful to have a single-page document with the pictures of all of them. So if you want that, go make that yourself, or you can download my free Canva template on my website and drop in pictures of your guides. And then consult with them often and let them help you drive your life forward. Thanks so much for listening today. Next week, we're going to talk about why or why not to take estrogen orally and what the other options are. Until then, live your life at an elite level by having a world-class board of directors advising you in 2026. And don't be normal. Thank you so much for tuning into the Health Courage Collective podcast. I am truly honored that you have paid me the enormous compliment of your time and attention. I would be so grateful if you would share this podcast with someone you know and subscribe so you never miss an episode. This podcast is for entertainment and information purposes only. Statements and views on this podcast are not medical advice. This podcast, including Christina Hackett and producers, disclaim responsibility for any possible adverse events by use of information contained herein. If you think you have a medical problem, consult a licensed physician.